See, for me, as a Tai Chi practitioner, for me, believe in the concept of Tao, nature. And as I meditate, as I go inside, I find this nature within me, which relate to the earth, to the sky, to the outside world, to other human beings, as we talk. So there's an interchange, exchange, flow constantly. And this is how we do our playful discipline.
When you say Tao, you seem to be making a connection between Tao and nature.
Yes, Tao is nature. When you define Tao, you lose the Tao. It's like, how do you define life? Okay, now if you use that parallel. Life is to be lived.
It's like taking a butterfly and dissecting it in order to understand how it flies.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's a very good example. Because in the West, in the more scientific-minded West, we tend to want to dissect things in a scientific way. We want to pull the flower up from the roots and put it on a tray in the botany class and then study the flower. A Chinese will go to the flower and talk to the flower and converse the flower and feel the flower and let the flower live. Mm-hmm. So it's a different way of approaching nature and how to communicate with nature. And there's a wonderful line in Tao Te Ching. There's, human beings follow the way of the earth. The earth mother, we are part of earth. Earth follows the way of heaven, the spiritual realm. And the heaven follows the way of Tao. And Tao follows the way of 自然. The Chinese word 自然 often translated as nature. But 自然 are two concepts, mean self, soul, means just the way it is. Be yourself, self-soulness. 自然 means naturally so, spontaneously so, naturally is. Now, so if there's an ultimate description of Tao as we go, there's a naturally so universe. Maybe we can call it Tao, but it's an open concept. And within this concept of Tao, we have spirit, heaven, earth, man, woman, mother, father, human beings. And we have to live on earth. We have to relate to spiritual and sky and this wonderful universe or multiverse out there. Yeah. This kind of relationship is the dance of Tao. Alan Watts, a wonderful interpreter of Chinese thoughts, and I used to collaborate. And before he passed away, we worked on his final book, and on Taoism. And we were very careful not to put ism. We called it simply Tao, the watercourse way.
The
watercourse way. It's based on the Chinese concept. The most wonderful metaphor to describe the Tao is the flowing water. It's the watercourse. It's so universal because water flows all the time, refreshes all the time, and fit into any shape. Does not have an outline, but has true power. Yeah. And always water flows to a bigger place, more contained place, and always in flux.
Many of the descriptions you're giving of Tao remind me of what Westerners call God.
Well, yes, I think any big words like God, spirit, and whatever religious background, social background, or racial background, we have a word. Yeah, we have big word to describe something undefined, unknown, bigger than life, that we have to pay respect, we have to bow to. In China, we use the word Tao, which also bow to God. We can say God is Tao, Tao is God, but it's not defined. Yeah. The Western mystic, like Meister Eckhart used to say, God, make me rid of God.
God?
Yeah, he actually prayed.
Why?
He says, the ultimate leave-taking is to leave God for God. Because the minute you say God is a thing, in the way you can define God make him too small,
We
or
start-
make her too small. Okay, and then you gotta go. Yeah. See, as I do the gender dance, I don't want to say he or she. Maybe it's a it. We don't know, but it has to be bigger than what we can utter in human terms. So we gotta learn to keep opening to a bigger concept.
It's a kind of reverence
It
to
is.
keep from limiting
It is.
and confining and owning this.
In China, the word Tao is used in many dimensions. And when we say I know, if I say to you I know, I say 我知道, 知道, 知道. 知道, you have Tao in the second part. 知 simply means I hit the target. I hit the Tao. I got the Tao. 知 is archer hit the bullseye. When the archer, the knowledge hit the center, I got it. I Tao. I understand. We say 知道 means I understand. And we say 体道. 体道 means I embody the Tao. You can say my body is the Tao. And you use, and then you say 有道理. 道理 means the Tao fits into organic pattern. And suddenly Tao makes sense. And we say 道理, oh, you're right, perfect, like 有道理. We use Tao again. So we use Tao in many ways. And Confucius say Tao is never far away from being human unless you bring the Tao into everyday life. It becomes too abstract, too esoteric, too spacey. It has nothing to do with life. In my learning, I bring Tao into everyday living.
How?
I talk to you now, and I follow the way of Tao. I practice my Tai Chi as I talk to you. I drink tea or coffee in the morning, it's Tao. Tao is in living. I create a small foundation called the Living Tao Foundation. It's a small network of friends all over the world. Believe in using the concept of Tao as an open concept to help us to learn how to live more harmoniously with ourselves, with our fellow beings, and the world. So Tao as a living process is the most important way to practice life.